33 flat living out of 100. Flat feeling furniture 72. Becomes larger space. The wife was completely stunned after reading it. And that dining chair that you thought could be turned into a ladder, is that a coat hanger? In fact, it can be turned into an engine full-length mirror. Do you think this is a mural? In fact, it can be opened to become an invisible dining table. Do you think this is a rectangular coffee table? In fact, it can conjure up 4. The storage stool is raised and 10 mothers-in-law are just gathered at a table. Do you think this is an editor? In fact, it can be turned into a lifting table. The big sofa you think can actually be turned into a bed. Do you think this is a washboard? In fact, it can be turned into a lift. Study table. You think it's a small box. In fact, it can be turned into a big wardrobe. Do you think this is a big round table? In fact, it can be lifted and folded. Do you think this is a sofa? Actually, you can stretch out and get a double bed with a big belly. Do you think this is a computer chair? Actually, it can be turned into a lunch rest recliner. Do you think this is a vegetable basket? In fact, it can be turned into a cylinder. Do you think this is a Rubik's Cube? In fact, it can be converted into 5 dining stools. Do you think this is a black and white shelf? In fact, it can be turned into a floating dining table. Do you think this is a bedside table? In fact, it can be turned into an invisible dresser, Stinky, mother-in-law's favorite. Do you think this is a small dining table? It actually rotates to make a big dining table. Do you think it's a tea table? In fact, it can be turned into 4 dining stools. Do you think this is a small sofa? In fact, you can change it into a single bed. My wife likes this design so much. How do you feel?